it's recording. Yeah. Okie doke. So when you log into PropFuel, you're going to land on this Insights page. And this, by the way, is our little agenda. I've got it in a little Google Doc. It tends to help just in case we're a small enough group, we can catch us all up along the way. But just in case, it's nice to kind of be able to follow along what exactly is going on. On the right-hand side here, you'll notice this is what PropFuel looks like when you log in. This Insights page tends to be a really hop-in place of all the activity in the last 30 days once the campaign's sent. But in the meantime, it's kind of quiet because we haven't done anything yet. There's probably a zeros all the way across. I literally have a 1 just because I sent myself 1 test email. From there, we'll end up navigating to the campaign page. This will be blank for you guys as well, but this is where we're going to actually go to build our campaign. I'm going to show you what this one looks like once we do pull the blueprint. So once you pull it, it's going to pull you into this page where we've got a single check-in in here. I'm going to show you the back end of it, and then I'm going to show you the front end of what it looks like to your members, and then we'll build it together. So there's, hey, Robson.
Hi. I just wanted to double check that Anna, you could get into your test account. Perfect. Alrighty.
So we've got a single check-in. The question is, are you interested in rejoining? We have a few different options here. So based on how they respond, we're going to give a slightly tailored response back to them and continue the conversation. So if they say yes, they're interested in rejoining, we're going to say, great, that's awesome. We're going to tell a little bit about the benefits. So this is going to automatically generate itself. You'll probably need to update it a little bit. We also have this really cool new feature that's embedded with AI. It's called our little magic wand. You can just wave the magic wand. It'll rewrite this entire page for you. So if you're feeling like, I don't know that this is what I'm looking for, you can wave the wand until you find something that better fits your style or how you'd like to approach it. And you can always cancel out if you want to go back to what we had originally. There's also a send email action. The intention here is that we're putting it in their inbox. So in case they do decide they want to rejoin, but they're not going to do it at that exact moment, having an email in their inbox so that it's really easy for them to click reply and reach out to you if they need any help or assistance. If they say possibly, we're going to give them a little bit more information about membership. Maybe they thought about it, but don't know what's new. So highlighting some of the member benefits, perhaps you add a little bit about what's new since they might have lapsed. That would be a great opportunity there. If they say no, I'm not going to rejoin, we're going to ask them why not. By doing this, I'm clicking on the little square at the end of that line, and it's going to ask them another question with some response options based on that. We're going to reply back. And if they say them not the right contact, that tends to be pretty common with organizational memberships where you reached out to somebody, but they're not your main point of contact anymore. Collecting that information and sending yourself an automated alert so that you know, okay, I'm not supposed to reach out to Mark anymore. I'm going to reach out to Dave. And this is the email template that it kind of lives on, which we're going to customize and tweak, but that's a good starting place. Yeah, Bill.
Sorry, I have 3 monitors. My mouse cursor was on the wrong one. When you mentioned that on the previous question, if someone answers no and we ask them why not, how does that second question arrive to them? Is it a web page that they land on, or is it a secondary email that comes to them?
Yeah, let me show you. So this is what it looks like on the front-facing view. So this is, if your member or your lapsed member got the email in their inbox, and I say not at this time, it opens up a tab in their browser that then is going to ask that question. Cool. So if I then say like, oh, well, budget concerns, I'm going to click submit, I'm going to get a response back. So all of this is happening immediately in real time. So you can continue the conversation, and then you could decide, I want to add a tag so that I can follow up with them later, or I'm going to send myself an alert because I want to continue the conversation offline. But that way you're having this back and forth exchange. PropFuel is meant to feel like a conversation rather than I'm going to send an email and there's a call to action.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. So if I say, yes, I'm interested in rejoining, I'm going to get that information of that's wonderful news. Everything about this can be customized. So if I like a clean white background, you could end up swapping this little tannish gray color out for white. You could add additional content or information in here. And then there was also automated a send email action. So there's already an email in my inbox. My inbox is probably a disaster right now. There we go. That just gives the information just in case they close out that browser tab so you can continue the conversation later. And if you were a PropFuel client, I'd say, you know, if they say yes and don't do it after a certain amount of time, maybe you add them to a nurture campaign that automated waits a week or two and says, hey, you know, we noticed you planned on rejoining, but you haven't done so yet. Do you need any assistance or something like that to automated continue the conversation with them? That's a little bit about what we're doing here. All of this stuff's going to be pre-built for you. So all you're going to have to do is edit and tweak. Any questions before we do that? No? Cool. All right. So we're going to build this step by step together. We're a small group. If something doesn't make sense or you have any questions, just feel free to ask. You don't need to like put it in chat or wait to ask. Just seriously, anytime. I'm going to make sure we're staying sort of along together most of the time so that way we don't lose anyone along the way. All right. So first you're going to click on campaigns and then you're going to create a new campaign. You'll notice there's a whole lot of blueprints on this left-hand side with a bunch of different drop downs and stuff. We're going to go all the way to the bottom to the win-back section and scroll all the way down to find the lapsed win-back campaign - organizational members - workshop blueprint. Slightly different than the blueprints that we run with our regular clients because we're used to having automation where we would be adding and removing people based on your AMS. So there's automated data going in. For today, we're going to keep things really clean and simple because we're not using connectors. So it's just a single check-in without any reminders, just to keep things really simple. It'd be a really good opportunity for you guys to learn PropFuel too. I'm really excited. So from here, you just need to fill in the blanks. I'm going to briefly go over what each one is, even though they're pretty intuitive. So feel free to fill them out as I talk. The campaign name is just for internal purposes. You can rename it later. Just something that if you saw it, you would know intuitively what it is. And in your guys' cases, there's not going to be much else in your account. So name it whatever you want. The sender's name generally should be a person if possible, if that's not in your brand style, to have a main point of contact for them to reach out to from a membership perspective. It can be the association, but I would encourage you, if possible, find a point person like Terry. If that's your thing, you're always doing the lapsed win back, I would put your name there. And then this would be that person's associated job title. If you're going with the organization, you do need to fill this out. So put something in there and then we can delete it later. The reply to email is also the send from email. And the contact us email address and phone number, that's where I would go to if you generally do things through the membership department, like a membership inbox. I would fill those out with like the membership @ email address and the membership department's phone number. But you could just put your own email address and your own phone number. And then the rejoin URL, I would just make sure you're copying and pasting it off of your website so that it includes the HTTPS in front. And when you're done filling out all those blanks, just click that green run button and let me know while it's running.
Quick question, Melissa, about the sender's name. Is there a best practice if you wanted to combine both, like your name and your association's name?
Oh, you could do it. There's lots of different ways. I don't know that there's a preferred best practice in that we've tested it to be better one way or another. I generally either do like one of those like line things,
Yep.
or you could do a comma.
Or in parens or
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
It is nice because this is meant to be a conversation, for it to be from a person, and the conversational tone will lend itself to that in the blueprint of just saying like, hey, I want to see if you're interested in membership. People talk to people, and that's what we're trying to replicate with Prop Fuel.
So you said hit run once we're done.
Yeah.
Where are we using? So there's no URL. We're not using anything at this point. We're just hitting run.
Each one of these should be filled out with your own information. So yes, the rejoin URL, you're definitely going to want to fill that out. Do not leave any of these blank. I'm not going to click run, but make sure you fill out all of these. If one of them is blank, it could error out. So I'd rather make sure, even if you're just putting placeholder text in there. So if you're not going to use job title, just putting title in there or something so that the blueprint does run, and then you can strip it out.
So say you want to change the sender's name once you've already run it. How do you do that? Mine's already been run.
I'll show you.
Okay.
Terry and Bill, let me know when you do click run.
I did.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys. So then you should end up on this page. Anna, to answer your question, I'm actually gonna sort of go slightly out of order here. So if you click the gear icon and go to templates, this is where your email template lives. We can go ahead and edit that first. So it'll end up looking something like this, with this being your organization's acronym in here. The from name, the sender from name, is going to be that right-hand side, so you can just edit it there. The reply to email is going to be whatever you set up that reply to email to be. And then the title shows here, along with that person's name here, with your organization name here. This is meant to be clean and simple, again, replicating a conversation, but feel free to tinker with any of the language you would like. And then when you're done, you can hit save. And let me know when you guys are done with the email template. One other thing I'll mention too, anywhere where there's a subject line, there's a magic wand. If you really dislike the subject line, we try to keep it pretty conversational. But if you would like to generate a new suggestion, you can just wave the wand. And it'll just keep cycling through some ideas. That one sounds a little like marketing-y for me, but anyway. You can also change anything about the look and feel here. So these are just text boxes. When you click on a text box, this right-hand navigation pops up and tells you where you are. So in bold, it says text. You could change the font color. You could click this little, looks like a little hamburger bun, to do the text size, or to add margin, so to add white space around. This S bracket you can use for personalization. By default, you guys have a few different things plugged in here. In your case, we'll just upload a spreadsheet and match field. So if you needed to add like your membership lapsed on and then an expiration date personalization, you could do that. This is where you'd add a hyperlink. This is justification. It's pretty WYSIWYG email editor. If you've worked in any email tool, it's probably going to look pretty familiar.
So I think I'm stuck. I'm sorry.
No, don't be
Because-
sorry. How can I help?
I'm just only it's just at the question, and I don't see where to get to the email template. I don't see. Yeah, go back.
Gear
Yeah.
icon, templates, and then you're gonna edit the email template.
Got you.
Thanks, Terry. Much rather you tell me.
Thank you.
And as we get later on, if it helps, you guys can share your screens too, especially while we're editing, and you can show me exactly where you have a question. Bill, Anna, how's it going with your email?
Pretty good. One question for you. I saw that in the personalization, you can include the contact's full name, but you can't, I didn't see a field for their first name. Is
Ooh.
that doable?
Yeah, it's definitely doable.
Right.
So do you guys mind if we do a little detour so I can show Bill how to add that, and you guys can add it as well if you'd like to add first name. It's actually the thing I use to teach new clients how they can build fields. You like purposefully leave it out.
Mm,
So in your case, I'm gonna ask you to get to close, get back to the screen.
okay.
You're gonna go to settings,
Mm-hmm.
then advanced,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be this first one of fields.
Okay.
This is where you can add any personalization field you want. So anything you feel like you might end up using, you could add in here. It's pretty simple. You'll just create a field. You're gonna name that field, in this case, first name. You can name it whatever you want, though, if you use informal name or nickname, whatever is easier for you. Then type is going to be text.
Mhm.
There are other types in here. So if it was a phone number, it'd be phone number. If it was a date, I would choose date. But for a name, it'd be text. And then this personalization default value is if you don't have their first name. So if for some reason that's blank on your spreadsheet, what do you want to show up?
Gotcha.
So a casual way I'll sometimes do it is there. So it's hello there instead of hello Bill. You could go with something a little bit more formal. A common one, Terry, if you guys don't use first name and you do prefix last name, so Dr. Smith, I would just add a field for prefix and a field for last name. That's what I would use for personalization. That's what a lot of our medical associations will use. But you're
What
welcome
about
to
customer ID? Would we be able to add that? We
the
just
member
put
ID.
customer ID
Yeah,
right above or below the name.
yeah.
So
You'll create a field. You can just call it ID. And then I would probably have that be a text type. And then if you need a personalization default value, if you don't have an ID for somebody, you could fill that out.
Okay.
Let me know when you guys are done adding any personalization fields, and we'll get back into the campaign together. Cool. Thanks, Bill.
Good to go. Thank you.
I'm good.
Thanks, Anna.
Good. I think I'm good.
Awesome. Thanks, Terry. Okay, so we're going to go back to the campaigns tab. So you're going to click campaigns. You've got your campaign probably down here. So click on that. We'll get back to our main check-in in the design tab. So in the design tab, we just edited our email template. Does anyone have any edits left to do on the email template? Oh, we do. We got to add the personalization tokens. So gear icon, templates. We're going to edit that email template. And now that you've just added that personalization token, whether it was first name or member ID, you'll use the little S bracket to add that in. You can just put in like, hello, first name. And maybe it's like ID, their member ID. And let me know when you guys are feeling good about your email template. We'll move to the question and then the response options.
I don't think I hit save. My template is not the same.
Yeah, whenever you're done making your edits or whenever you've made a set of edits, definitely click save at the
I
bottom.
thought I did, apparently. Let me see.
Thanks, Bill.
Good to go. You were looking down, Melissa. I don't know how you saw me put my thumb up. Okay, good.
'Cause I have your faces down here so that way you guys can see the screen without your faces in the way. Yeah, your faces are down here for me. So if I'm looking down, I'm actually looking at you.
Now it makes more sense. Thank you.
Yes, you're so welcome. One of our core values at PropFuel is usually simpler is better, which isn't really correct grammar, but I like to mention it to all of our new clients and also prospective clients. Don't overthink it. Your members are trying to just be able to respond back to you. And so being able to ask this question and get their feedback is intended to elicit a conversation. It doesn't need to be perfect, and I wouldn't overthink it too much. Just whatever feels like you would naturally say to somebody in your professional capacity if you were over the phone or in person with that person.
So I don't know what happened, but I'm not able to change anything back on my template. I don't know. I don't want to hold up the group, but it's not.
Do you want to share your screen? I can stop sharing.
Let me see.
We're all learning together, so.
In here.
Okay, so you're in the check-in page template. So go ahead and click cancel or X.
So I canceled out X here.
Perfect. We're gonna edit the email template. That's that first one.
Right, so I did that one and it went back to,
Okay, so yep, we're gonna click edit. That text box, you're gonna leave alone, like it says, your question's gonna go in there. It looks like it deleted the blueprint from here. So based on where you are right now, might just want to pull the blueprint again, or I can give you that text to put in there.
so what would I pull it from here? Oh, look.
So if you click X or cancel, basically what happened here, but for Bill and Anna and Terry, is you got rid of the email template that pulled in through the blueprint by clicking change. Anytime you click change in PropFuel, you're basically saying like, I don't want this thing anymore. I'm swapping it out. So if you click change on the question, it deletes everything associated with the question. Same with the email template. So Terry, just for the sake of time, what I would say is go ahead and pull the blueprint again. I think that's going to be less time than clicking all of the buttons and adding like a brand new email template for you. So if you click X or cancel and just go back to the homepage. There you go. Create a new campaign. Did you pull it twice, actually?
Did I pull it twice?
Yeah, do you mind going back to the campaign page? It looked like there were two versions of an email template. There's one called 2024 August went back and one
Oh,
called
that's what I was playing around with earlier when I first got the email. I was just playing around with it to see.
I love that.
Huh?
I love that. Did you pull it through the blueprint?
I did.
So actually, I can teach you a trick. Do you mind clicking on that win back membership campaign one, the other one?
This one?
Yes. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's a blueprint check-in in here. If you go to the history tab. Okay. So did you just create a new campaign and you built it from scratch?
From scratch.
Okay. All right. So we're going to
I'm
go back
sorry.
to, no, don't be sorry. Go back to the campaign page. I was curious if you like went through and built that blueprint already, because then what we could do is grab the email from over there and just pull it
Got
into
it.
that campaign. Just trying to save you a few steps. So you're going to click that blue create new campaign button.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to on the left-hand side, the win back blueprint. Yep. Scroll down. You're going to use the organizational member blueprint. Fill in those blanks again. And then what you can do is just archive the second set of them. I love that your browser's remembering everything you typed in. That definitely saves you some steps. Actually, I'm glad we're there. Don't click run yet. That rejoin URL must include HTTPS or it will not work. So that's why I said you can copy and paste it from your browser, or you could just manually type it in, but it will error out anyway if it just has the www dot. So one more backslash.
Oops.
And one other thing, I'm glad we ended up going back anyway, because that's going to save you a lot of steps to have it right in here. One other thing I would do is at the top where it's got the campaign name,
Mm-hmm.
I would just name it something different so that you don't have two versions and you're confused which is which. I would just add at the end like V2 or use this one or something like that. You can always edit the name of the campaign later. There you go. Okay, so click run. Terry, if you don't mind unsharing your screen, I'm going to reshare my screen while that runs in the background. Thanks.
I'm so sorry, team.
You're good. We're all learning together. That was a good there was a couple of things we learned there. So one, we definitely win the blueprint need to have that HTTPS in there. Otherwise it won't work. You're going to be updating that link in multiple places and that is not fun. The second thing is anywhere where you see change, either in the question or where we were in the template where it says change template, it
Mhm.
wipes it. So I generally say, you know, if that's truly your intention, if you have zero plans to use anything about that one, you just want to use something else, click change. If you just want to edit or modify, I would click that edit button. And that's actually what we're going to do next in this question, is we're going to edit the question. So don't click change, click the little pencil to edit the question. And all we're looking to do here is if you want to rephrase any of this. So the question that we're asking your lapsed members is, are you interested in rejoining? There's a yes, a possibly, a not at this time, and a I'm not the right contact. We generally keep those buckets, but if instead of possibly you want to say maybe, I need more information, you can. Just a preference thing. And when you're done making edits to these response options, just go ahead and click save. I'm going to purposely do that with this edited thing, because you'll notice if I change anything about that question, you're going to get a red exclamation point over here. I'm going to wait until everyone's at that point with either a red exclamation point or no exclamation point if you didn't edit it. And let me know when you guys are done
Quick
with the
question
question.
for you, Melissa.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this a little bit differently in that,
Okay.
you know, our members are generally interested in a couple of very narrow or specific things. And it prompted me to wonder, can I use this particular question to say, is anything below of interest to you? Right. Like, so the email body was basically saying, you know, hey, listen, I know your membership lapsed a year ago and, you know, a lot of things have changed since from then to now. Are any of the following topics of any interest to you whatsoever? Happy to send you a resource if so. And then have them identify which of those topics it is. And maybe that last option is none of the above. Thanks anyway.
Yeah. So you definitely could do that. There is actually a check-in like that in the full Lapsed Member Win-Back Blueprint. We're doing a very simplified version, knowing that we want to get sort of this all done in 2 hours.
Okay.
The full Lapsed Member Blueprint has like 4 or 5 check-ins, one of which being like which of the following is of most interest to you. So there's something that fits that exact use case. I would say for the purposes today, because that question and what's going to happen when they respond is so very different,
Mhm.
maybe we stick with editing this, but then when we're done, you can hang on with me for a little bit. I'm going to show you how to pull the blueprint, and you're just going to repeat the same steps that we're doing here, just on a different question.
Okay.
Does
Sounds
that
good.
work?
Yeah.
I like that question though. It's what we like to do when we're doing multiple check-ins is what we kind of call a sandwich. We want to ask a direct question like, are you interested in rejoining? Would you like to rejoin now? And then after that, we might ask a softer, nurturing question. So that's a perfect nurturing question in my mind of like, which of the following is most important to you? Or which of the following would you like to learn more about? Where you're trying to just deepen the relationship, but not necessarily be as like right up in center of like, hey, I'd love for you to rejoin. So the blueprint actually kind of goes back and forth between those direct questions and the indirect ones of like, what's held you back from rejoining? And then alternating it with something more direct.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
That's a best practice of ours. And there's also I'm going to take you on a quick little detour and then get back in because I know we're an hour in already, which is crazy. There are strategy guides nestled throughout. So when you go to click on you'll end up probably doing Bill as there's one for trade associations, there's one for Lapsed Member Win-Back that's got it's only got 3 check-ins, pretty short. I feel like the individual one might be longer. You might end up wanting to play around with that. You are welcome, by the way, to pull other blueprints. We're just doing this workshop on this one. This one, it's either this one or the lapsed one for individuals. There's a particular check-in that's just along those lines. When I was talking about these strategy guides, so if you click on that, it opens it up in a new tab and it's got like step-by-step strategies that we have found work really well for Lapsed Member Win-Back, why you should use prop fuel, some alternative questions to think about, some things to consider while you're building, and then some examples of what's worked well. All right, I'm going to get back to where we were here. So, Terry, feel free to, if you want to go in the gear icon templates and edit this email template real quick. In the meantime, I think Bill and Anna, have you edited your question and your email template to your liking? Cool. So next, what we're going to do, and that's going to take us the longest here, is the workflow action. So what happens when someone says yes, or what happens when someone says maybe? If you've changed your question, there's going to be a red exclamation point. This is an alert internal in the platform to let you know, like, hey, you changed this, in which case you'll just kind of click on it and remap it to whatever response you edited, and that'll clear the error. That's just something nice for you internally as you're building to know, like, hey, something needs to be fixed here. That tends to be really helpful so that you can keep track of what needs to be edited for it to work. Where you guys are, I like to start at the top just because it's easier, although in theory you could hop around. So if we start on this yes workflow, there's if question answered matches selection equals yes. So if they say yes in the email, then this show text on landing page is your response. That's if I go back to this email here and I say yes, it's this page right here that has the information of why they're going to want to rejoin, along with a link for them to rejoin. And you can make that bold or bigger and offset it in a new line, whatever you would like. So this is just a text editor. Feel free to edit the text as you'd like. If you also want to play around with waving the magic wand and completely rewriting it, it's going to change the layout of it completely. And if you realize, like, actually, I kind of like that old version, just click cancel and go back. So that's where I would spend a minute or two. Don't overthink it, but feel free to edit and tweak, especially if whatever ChatGPT came up with here is not correct. This is a pretty like WYSIWYG editor up at the top here. So for example, if I wanted to like line break and make this bigger, I would highlight this text. This little P paragraph symbol is going to give you some headers. So I might want to make it bigger and maybe center it and maybe, I don't know, make it red or something. You can do all of that up here. These are pretty intuitive what they are, but let me know if you have any questions. If you want to add any personalization tokens too, in this section that actually appears as this little driver's license. It's the best thing I could describe it as. So if you needed to add like your member ID is and a colon and then that personalization token, that would be this like right facing. I don't think I added one for member ID in this account, but you'd be looking to press that right facing arrow to add the personalization. When you're done, you can click save at the bottom right corner and just let me know when you're done editing. Almost there, guys? Oh,
I think I'm a little behind on it, but I'll catch up. I don't want to hold the group up because we don't have that much time, but I'm following as you go.
cool. Something I like to do if I'm like, I just need to come back to this later. You could highlight the text that you still need to edit. So just hover over it, press this little A over here, go to highlight it in yellow. That way, when you come back to this and you're assessing it, you're like, oh yeah, I meant to fix that later. How's it going, Robson?
Going good. How goes it with you guys?
Very good.
Yeah.
Everyone's editing text. It's
Yeah.
quite
Oh, did you tell him about the what is it, in notes or under settings, the notes feature?
I haven't, but that's on
That
the list.
that to me was very valuable in terms of like editing and copying or making copies, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna take you guys in a little detour for that. So, let's just say I was like, oh, I was gonna edit this text. I might highlight it later so that I know exactly what I'm still working on. Make sure you hit save. Under settings within the campaign, there's a little notes section. This is also where I like to write to-dos for myself. So maybe you still need to edit landing page for yes. Tag for possibly, whatever I'm gonna do. I can just keep those notes in there and then press the screen check mark. So that way, when you're on the campaigns page, there's a little sticky note that appears so that you know, oh yeah, I still have some things to do. And it's a great shared space if you're keeping notes of what your colleagues have had, if they had any input and edits that you needed to make, just putting notes in there tends to be kind of helpful.
I remembered specifically because of you. I
Okay.
was like, oh wow, that's I wish I knew that sooner.
Yep.
But yeah. All right.
When you
Well,
feel like you're at a good spot, just feel free to click save on that landing page. Why it's worth spending a little bit of time here is this set of bullets of like, hey, here's why you might want to rejoin. We're going to repurpose for this maybe. So you'll notice this landing page. So I'm clicking on the show text on landing page for the maybe is very, very similar. So you can feel free to kind of copy and paste over. All of this is the same. I'll give us a minute there, and then I'm actually going to go back to that yes workflow after, but it's just helpful since this is almost identical. Might as well copy and paste what you've worked on, or just hover over it and highlight it and say, I'm going to deal with that later. That's okay too.
Forgive me if you've already shared this, Melissa, but with what you just highlighted, that section right there, are we able to, and actually, never mind. I think I've answered my own question. I saw the little HTML button on the top right by the magic wand. So we can actually get it down to the code level if we wanted to change and edit that way. Okay.
Anything you want to change up, if you want to embed a video in here or put something else, you can definitely go into the code directly.
Very nice. But also have the WYSIWYG editor if for us less than technical folks.
This is if you haven't figured it out, this is how you can add an image, press the little mountain thing. This is if you needed to upload a file and have an attachment. I don't know that I would recommend doing that here, but you could in theory. And then yeah, you can go right into the code and make any edits that you'd like.
And these landing pages would always be hosted on PropFuel's site, correct?
Yes, you could. Now, like I could see a use case of if you're interested in rejoining, you say yes, and you've built out this beautiful site on on your page, you could add a different action. So these are the different actions that are available to you. I don't know that you're going to be adding people to new campaigns in your case, but this is where you could send an alert if you needed to be notified immediately. If someone said yes, you would choose yourself from the dropdown,
Mhm.
and that would send you immediate. It's a really obnoxious looking email. It's like bright red, like alert. You can't miss it. So you could add an alert. You could redirect to a URL. So if you wanted it to go to another page, you could redirect to URL. The reason that we do show text on landing page rather than a hard redirect is being able to be a little bit more conversational of like, that's wonderful. Rejoining is easy. A lot of web pages, especially if you're going to renew, it might just be a login page, or it might just feel a little bit more abrupt. What
Mhm.
you could decide to do is just kind of test it out. You could create a new workflow that redirects to the URL, see if you liked that instead. But I would generally recommend do the show text on landing page instead. Maybe just make the call to action of where to rejoin a little more prominent. But from a functionality perspective, you could redirect directly to that URL instead. Some of these other ones you're probably not going to use for right now, but you definitely would use it if you were using PropFuel more, of adding and removing tags from somebody, adding and removing them to a campaign. This is what we're going to use to ask that other question. So if no, why not? Or if it should be a different contact person, what's that person's contact information? This would be continuing the conversation in the PropFuel inbox, which you're welcome to play around with if you'd like. And this send email template is what we're going to edit next once you've edited these two landing pages. So you can click on that send email. It's just meant to be the like, hey, in case you closed out or haven't done it already, here's the link. But more importantly, it's a plain text email. So if someone has any questions, they're going to be more likely to click reply to that than to the more stylized email. But you could decide, I really, really do not want to send this again. I'm going to click delete and just get rid of it. Just know it's kind of hard to rebuild. I'd have to send you the text. You'd have to just add it back again or pull the blueprint again. But you'll notice same WYSIWYG editor in here. The driver's license is where you can add personalization. So if it was like, hello, first name, I would go to the personalization token, go to first name, and click that right facing arrow to add it, which of course adds it down here. That's helpful. There's also a magic wand up here by the subject line. That's kind of fun. And even stuck an emoji in there for good measure. It really wants me to use that subject line.
Very much so. Oh my goodness. All right. This is obviously not something we're going to touch on today, like you mentioned, but with the tags. So if let's say someone takes the action, you tag them in a particular way, I'm assuming that is implementing downstream marketing automation where, if I want to send that person another email in like 3-4 weeks, it can already be set up to do so. Is that a safe assumption?
So if what I would do with tags is if I was thinking that's what I was going to do, but I wasn't committing to it yet. I was like, I think I'll want to. This makes it easier for you to build a list in PropFuel. If you became a PropFuel client, I would highly encourage you to write that data to your marketing system or to your membership system, and there'd be other options there so that you could just write something back to your AMS or add an interest in forms or put them on a different contact list in your marketing system. Every connector has got some different bells and whistles and what's capable through the API. But what I would do if I knew for sure I'd be nurturing these people is I would add them to another campaign. I'd build that other campaign that would wait 3 weeks and then ask that check-in and just directly add them so they immediately go over there at that moment. So for our purposes today, you could certainly add a tag. So you could just add a tag of plans to rejoin or yes to rejoin. It says here, just press enter to create that tag and then click save. So you could add the tags for now. That tends to be an easy way to just kind of export everything out, especially when you have multiple campaigns going. It's going to be easy enough for you to look at the analytics after because you just have a single check-in.
Yep. I like that. That sounds good. In terms of that API and integrations, do you have a list of AMS platforms that you natively integrate with?
Yeah. So Terry and Anna, feel free to keep tinkering if you're tinkering. I'm going to take us on a slight detour again. Under settings, advanced connectors, that's our full list of out-of-the-box connectors, as in they require zero extra customization. You can just kind of scroll through this whole list. Is there what's your AMS?
One that's on the list.
That's always good. There are other connectors that are not on this list, so that's why I ask.
Growth Zone is the one that we're using.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yep, you'll add that. You just add in the API key in the URL, you click connect, and then you map the fields.
Nice.
If your AMS is not in this list, if you're a Personify, if you're an Aptify, some of the more customized connectors, we have instructions pre-built for those of like, here's what we need from you, and email it to this email address, and here's what you might set up on your end. But all of these are ready to go. You just need to either do an OAuth connector where you just literally click connect and log in, or like Growth Zone, you add in your API credentials and click go. They're all pretty simple.
So meaning instead of pulling an actual list, I will be able to do it from the connector that's there. We wouldn't.
So that's what I would keep in mind for when, if you decide like you want to continue with PropFuel and become a client. I think what we're doing with these workshops is we're just going to upload like a single list to this particular campaign, but it is definitely worth keeping in mind down the line that we could automate this. And that's what I would do with a PropFuel client, is automate the campaign. So it's either continuously rolling through or people are getting added and removed automatically. For today's purposes, we're going to just upload a list.
So that's perfect. So after you do your part with Bill, after we're done and you do your part with Bill, helping him with what he had questions on, can I stay on with you to ask you a few more questions about that? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Of course. All right. So I'm going to hop us back here. I would say if you're not done editing these two landing pages and the send email action, let's take like 30 seconds to highlight or make a note somewhere of what you want to edit, because I do want to move on to these two embeds. And just let me know when you're good.
I think I'm done.
Cool. Thanks, Terry. Anna, good? Okay. So next we're going to focus on these two embed questions. To get to them, the easiest way to get to them is if you click, there's a little square at the end of this line with a diagonal arrow up. If you click that, it's just going to open it in a new tab. Really easy way to kind of go back and forth. And there's going to be a little bit of a rinse and repeat here of the steps we've already done. So the first thing that I would do is click this little pencil button to edit the question. If there's one of these that doesn't align with your organization or you wanted to make changes, so maybe instead of closing the business, it's closing the practice or something along those lines, you can feel free to edit these. You can add additional response options if you would like. So that's what I would do first, is edit this question on the response options. There's also an open-ended follow-up already built in of please share any additional details. I like having it broad like this because then if someone said the reason they're not gonna be a member anymore is one of these other reasons, then they're gonna give that open-ended text. But if you wanted to change this to if something else, comma, then let us know below, that kind of signal to somebody they should only answer it if it's something else. I like having the open-ended feedback though. It tends to be really helpful. When you're done editing the question and the response options, click save.
Is this where you would put with the contact, the contact information needs to be updated? Would that be an answer on there? Like you have the wrong person, or is this
That's going to be the second one here. So we're going to work on the no first, but then
Okay.
this second one is the like, oh, oops, who's the right person?
okay?
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
So this is purely why someone would not continue or why membership wouldn't be a good fit for them anymore. I would stick with like 4 or 5, maybe up to 6 response options and then a something else. Or an other, if you want it to be other instead of something, whatever word you prefer. And then click save. There are templates here as well in the same place. If you go to gear icon and templates, you'll notice these all say using campaign default. So what that means is there are no check-in specific templates. They live in the campaign settings down here. You likely don't need to make any significant changes here with the exception of, I think the blueprint might have accidentally, yeah. You might want to change this page title to be just check-in or your association name check-in. I think that's an error I need to fix in the blueprint. So again, that was in settings, about half, most of the way down. Edit this thank you page template and just change the page title. That's an error. I'll fix that. And when you're done with that, we're going to go back to the design tab. And then I'm going to pause here for a little bit. If you click that right facing workflow arrow, there's all these landing pages based on each one of these responses. So if they say budget concerns, there's a landing page. If they say unsure of membership value, there's a landing page. If you have a red alert on any of these because you changed the response options, you'll just click on that and map it to what's the most appropriate response. And then in each one of these cases, you'll just click show text on landing page and edit the text. I'm going to set aside, let's bring ourselves to 2:35 Eastern. So I'm going to give you like 7-ish minutes to make any edits here. Beyond that, then I would just kind of highlight and make notes for yourself. Again, a good place to do that is in settings and notes. Keep track of what things you have left to do. Make yourself a little list. This and this and this. And then that green check mark will save it. Give you guys a few minutes, but if you have any questions, let me know. The only different workflow in here actually is if the text response is filled, there's an internal alert. And you can click on that and choose your name from here. And that'll send you an alert for what those open-ended responses are if you want an alert. Otherwise, you can just check it in prop fuel. Sorry, now I'm going to be quiet. Howdy.
Hello.
We're editing again.
I don't know if this is just me, but can you guys see Melissa's? Ah, there it is. Couldn't for a second.
Yeah, we're editing landing pages.
Hmm.
Exciting stuff.
You think anyone's gonna be ready to send today?
I don't know. I know Bill's got to coordinate with the team.
Hmm.
I know Terry, we had to go back and re-pull the blueprint, so it might take a little bit more editing. Anna, how are you feeling?
I'll have to go back and check with my team as well.
Actually, that reminds me, I need to get ready to send out a prop fuel campaign.
Did you get out?
Actually, I think it's almost done. I think I just need Brittany's edits and then we might be good to go. Alrighty. Yeah.
Ah, couple more minutes. And get as close as you feel comfortable getting. A lot of this stuff is the same over and over again. Feel free to copy and paste. What I will say is pretty cool is once you build a campaign like this for the first time, you've got elements that you're going to repurpose over and over and over again. So this, like, why are you not interested in rejoining or renewing or joining? You can copy it and reuse it in multiple places. So it tends to be really helpful. There's a lot of efficiencies in the platform once you've built something before of saving a workflow or saving a template or reusing a campaign. Um, it's always the first time that's the hardest. So you're getting that done now. Any questions? No? Cool. When you're done with these workflows, go ahead and just make sure you hit save before you leave any page on these show text on landing page at the bottom. All of these will show as off for you. Before we move on, I would like you to toggle them all on. That way we can test them. So they'll all be off by default. You can just toggle them on. That if they're off and you send yourself a test email, nothing's going to happen when you click on those buttons. So turning them on allows the workflow to happen. There's nothing wrong with having it on in advance. I actually use it kind of as my checklist sometimes. And when I'm done editing a landing page, I'll turn on that workflow, move on to the next one. That way, if I get interrupted with an email or something and I come back to this, I know where I left off. All right. I think at this point, go ahead and save where you are, turn on those workflows, give me a thumbs up, we can move on. Thanks, Anna. Thanks, Bill. Terry. All right. Cool. So once you have all these workflows turned on, you can go ahead and close out that tab and go back to this email tab. So this has our email in it. We're going to click that right facing workflow arrow, and we're going to just take a look at this last one. So if they say they're not the right contact, I'm going to click on that little square with the diagonal arrow up. That's going to pull up our second embed here. What this page looks like on the user-facing view, you can actually look at it by clicking gear icon and view test check-in. It says, thanks for letting us know. Please share with us a better contact within your organization. I know when I see this, like the first thing I'm like, oh, I hate this white space in here. I don't know that you should be changing too many of these questions. If you did want to, in theory, you can click the little edit pencil button and edit them. But what I would go ahead and do is then go to the template. You'll notice there is a check-in specific template here. And you can change some of the white space around this template if you wanted. So like for me, like this is just too much white space. I'm going to click on the little levers on the furthest right navigation here. This works like a clock. I'm going to strip this all the way back down to 10 pixels. So this is your 12 o'clock or your top. This is your side to side, 20 pixels, which is fine. And then this third one is the bottom, so your 6 o'clock. I just want to strip a lot of that white space out. You'll notice it like tightened all the way here. And then this is just a personal pet peeve. The submit button is far too low down. I'm going to do the same thing here. And then click save. Are any of you guys feeling like you want to edit this page any further? Let me refresh. This is what it looks like when it's tightened. It looks so much better. Terry, Hannah, Bill, good? Any edits? The only action that we need to edit here is you'll notice there's a little one at the top right corner of full name. If you click the show text on landing page, that's the thank you page that's going to show up. I would configure this alert. So if you click on the send alert and choose your name from the dropdown, it'll appear there, and just turn that workflow on. Get to move on? Cool. Terry, you all right? So we close this tab out. Now we've edited everything. Or at least we've touched it. We plans to edit it. So we've done the yes response, we've done the maybe, we've done the not at this time, and we've done the I'm not the right contact. Make sure all 4 of these get turned on. And then what we're going to do is send ourselves a test so you can actually see what it looks like so far. So once those workflows are turned on, you can click the gear icon, send test email. By default, it's going to pull up your email address. If you want it to go to other email addresses, you can just put a comma, space, and put that other email address. Something about test emails, it's important to note, test emails only keep their functionality for 12 hours. So if you send yourself a test now, but don't plan on looking at it until tomorrow, I would come back into PropFuel and send yourself a new test. Otherwise, you'll just get an error screen. That's intentional because the metrics only keep themselves until 12 hours once you go live with the campaign. So it doesn't mess up your data to keep testing this as much as you would like. So feel free, if you're good with sending it to yourself, you can click send. That's going to send it to your email inbox. If for some reason certain security settings won't allow you to get it, I can send you whitelist instructions, or short term, you can send it to another email address. And then when it gets in your inbox, you're going to have this email, the same one we were editing. And you can click all the buttons and see what it actually looks like. So if I click yes, I'm going to come on this page that I edited. I can see this highlighted text. That's my reminder. I need to edit that. You can change anything about this in those workflow actions. So if I say no, I'm going to land on that page. So you can test any of the functionality you would like. I'll give you guys a minute to tinker around, play with your new email. All that's left really is I'm going to just walk you through these other tabs and how you would actually go live if you wanted to, when you want to. Questions, thoughts, comments?
Question for you. If I clicked on the yes button and the landing page didn't pop up, what's the troubleshooting sequence?
You need to turn it on.
That would be my mistake.
Super quick fix. You don't need to send yourself a new test email. Just turn it on and then go back to the email and click yes.
Interesting.
Any questions I can answer? Things you're saying that don't make sense that I can help you fix. I like to send myself a test email when I feel like I'm most of the way there, even if I'm not all the way done, because that's sometimes just seeing it, what it looks like is helpful. So you can be like, oh, huh, like I need to change this. I don't like how this is showing up. Let me left justify, or let me center it, or let me make the font bigger, or anything under the sun. I'm gonna go around the group and just check in. Anna, thoughts, questions?
No, it looks good to me.
Beautiful. Terry, how's it going? Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
It's going, most of mine is blank because I didn't change anything because I said I would come back to it.
That's fair. Do you feel confident knowing how to get back into it?
To get back into it, yes.
Yes. Great.
Yes.
Usually those landing page actions, even when I'm on with clients, there'll be plenty of times where it's like, oh, I'll just edit it later. We're gonna do it right now. Just gonna highlight it, come back to it. Totally fine. Bill, feeling good?
I am. The only thing that's kind of a big question mark in my mind, and this is just for me to internally process, is what is the logical sequence that I need to put in place in terms of which question is asked first and how do we lead up to it? Because historically, direct questions to our members of will you rejoin or will you renew, it's not going to get me an answer most of the time. If they didn't renew, they're never going to respond to it ever. And I need to give them something of value, like one of those soft asks of what they're interested in and delivering something first before leading up to the bigger ask of will you rejoin? But that I guess I'm wrapping my head around it in terms of like how it would work within the system. It's pretty doggone straightforward and simple to implement. I just need to come up with those custom questions of what to ask and then find the resources that I'd like to deliver. And then, of course, make them hyperlinked and easily accessible.
Yeah. When you pull the blueprint, you'll be able to reorder the questions really easily. If it's a scheduled campaign, you'll just click this little calendar, and this is actually helpful for you guys to know anyway. Click the calendar, choose the date, click confirm. And that will, if there's multiple check-ins, it'll automatically reorder them based on the dates, going from most, like coming up soonest to furthest out. If it's a sequence, so it's a drip campaign, you can reorder them by dragging and dropping them around if it's still in draft mode. So you'll be able to reorder the questions. And what we do at PropFuel, you'll notice like the button clicking is not so hard. That's the easiest part. When you become a client, it's the easiest part of the training. What takes a little bit longer sometimes is the strategy, the methodology, and that's what we're here for as client success managers. We're not just button clicking, tell you what to click people. We're also here to walk you through the strategy. So like Bill, I could definitely see that as being something you get something out just to test the water, see how it does. If you're able to fit in the budget, come on as a client. We would sit down, we would build that whole strategy together and walk you through step by step. Well, based on how this one did, let's try this question. Let's modify the workflow this way. So we're here as a coaching guide throughout your PropFuel journey, even beyond the onboarding process. I have clients that have been with us for years and they routinely reach out and go, hey, I just want to pick your brain, or I want to get your insight, or I want to see what other clients are doing. And we have client events every month. So our next one's coming up in a couple of weeks, where we're just getting together and talking about some of our automated ongoing campaigns, and clients will share their campaigns of what's worked really well, and just unmute everybody. There's a good discussion and back and forth. So there's lots of avenues to get input from either your client success manager or other associations and what's working well for them in their win-back campaigns.
Good to know. Thank you. And
Yeah.
I imagine some of it would be structured similarly to the email engagement report webinar from, I think it was early this week or last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of good stories shared by folks that are using the platform.
You can, there's also, actually, I'll show you where this lives. If you really want to dive deeper into PropFuel stuff, if you click this help button up at the top, there's a documentation. This pulls up our whole knowledge base. We have actually our client-only roundtables recorded. So every other month, we've been alternating between a build-along workshop like this, but it's with our clients, so we kind of move a little bit faster because most people know where the buttons are. But we talk strategy and why it's going to work this way and just get the work done together. And then those alternate months, we do roundtables. So if you click into additional resources, and there we go, I have to click on one more to get to the roundtable recordings. We've got years of them in here. So if you really wanted to see more about lapsed member win back and hearing clients share, this one was probably the most fun. We had, I don't know, like 20 clients talking about what they've done for their lapsed member win back strategies, showing examples of their campaign, talking through what was the thought behind it. So it really puts other association executives on stage to let them talk about what's worked well and let people ask questions of them. So that's an awesome one. That's probably one of my favorite roundtables to go back to. Our most recent one was on like nurturing and nudging. So if they say yes to the win back campaign, but they haven't done so yet, how do you continue the conversation? 5 must-have campaigns. You can feel free to watch these if you want. There's a lot.
Thank you. I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, right. There's like some serious homework in there, but you can go as far down deep as you would like to. So let me go over these other tabs. I know none of you guys are ready to go live with this, but that way you know the steps and you'll work with probably Lisa on our team to just get it ready and finish things up. The history tab will show you the insights of the campaign. So I've just been tinkering and testing in this check-in today, but you'll notice how many emails were sent, the delivery rate, the open rate, the bounce rate, the response rate, and then the engagement rate. And this factors in, if you had multiple check-ins, who answered at least one of the questions in the campaign. So maybe less relevant for this exact use case, but it is very important once you have multiple check-ins in a campaign to see, you know, if let's say the average response rate was 25% of people are getting back to you, but you see your engagement rate is 40%, that means 40% of people answered at least one of the questions. And this is where you can see all of this data at a glance. You can export it out. You could also, if you wanted to drill into the person by person responses, click view responses on any of these. It'll show the person's name, what they said. You could reply directly to, in this case, myself, but if I was someone else, reply back to that person one-on-one. I could click on that person's name and find out everything about this. My test account. There's lots of data to dive into in here. This is where anything that's sent and you're trying to look into how well it did, history tab's a great place for it. Any questions on that before I move on to the other two tabs? Cool. The enrolled contacts tab is where you're gonna upload your spreadsheet. So in here is where you'll have the people that are actually enrolled in the campaign. You'll just click upload contacts, choose a file. It'll walk you through step by step. It's going to ask you, do you want to add these people or remove these people? You'll just map those fields and then click run and import, and it'll import the spreadsheet of people in here. And you'll be able to sort it based on their name. You can see who has been removed from the campaign, what's an invalid email after it sends. So there's lots of insights you'll get here in terms of like who's in the campaign. And then settings is where we have just some general settings about the campaign. This is where you can keep notes. This is where you can choose what time of day it's going to send. You'll pick the day on the design tab. I already showed you guys that, but that'll be here. These other things you're probably not going to use quite yet, but if you became a PropFuel client, there's lots of fun things we can do in terms of the automation of getting people out of the campaign, of tracking the conversions. If you wanted automated reminders to send to anyone that didn't respond, there's a lot of things in here. But I would say for you guys, for now, I would focus on what time of day you want it to send. And then if you had any notes, keeping track of them up here. There'd also be another tab shoved right in between here, between enrolled contacts and settings. If you were a PropFuel client, that would have your automations in there. So the workflows of, you know, Bill, in your case, I want this list in growth zone to pull in. And if they have this expiration date, get them out of the campaign. So that's how we would automate people getting in and out of the campaign. But for us today, we keep it as clean and simple as we can. So yeah, the only step after you're done editing the campaign, getting people in there, you would choose your date and then turn this from draft to live. The one little caveat with that is you need to get these questions, these two, live first. So I usually just do it from the campaigns page. I can click on these three dots and go live. It's going to say, are you sure you want to go live? I'm gonna say, yeah, I want to go live. You'll have to do that for the two embeds first. Just click on that and go live. And then all that's left is this email one. When you actually do click live, it will go live. So make sure you've got your people in there, you've chosen your send date, you're feeling good about everything, you've sent yourself as many tests as you need to feel confident and comfortable. That very last step is turning it to live, and then it'll send. All right. That's pretty much everything. What questions can I answer for you guys? I know, Bill, we've got to talk about the blueprint. Terry, we're going to talk about, we're going to go back and like edit some things a little bit, but what other questions can I answer?
I want to know if it could be used for more than just a win back in terms of, we do the board certification and we do an 8-year limit for those junior fellows who have yet to become actual fellows of the college. Would it work in terms of notifying them as to when they need to start applying for their certification or being transferred over to another category if they haven't passed their boards for the certification. Just crafting and drafting up an email to send to them, it would pretty much work the same and give the same stats.
Yeah, any prop fuel campaign is gonna have the same functionality. Once you've done one prop fuel campaign, you're gonna find it's a little bit like riding a bike. There's 3 parts to the campaigns. There's a question, there's the email that sends it, that email template, and the response options of what happens when they respond. That functionality is going to be the same. So from a button clicking perspective, of course, from a strategy perspective, anywhere where in a perfect world, you'd have a conversation with your members to understand their needs, their interests, their intent. That's where prop fuel is going to be much more beneficial than just using your broadcast tool alone. Broadcast email is great for telling people stuff. That's what it's designed to do, is tell a lot of people stuff, have a pretty call to action, and get people to click that call to action button. Prop fuel is really helpful where you need to get some insight, or you want to find out what their interests or needs or intent are, ask additional questions. So in the case of I'm not the right contact, find out who is the right contact. In the case of no, they're not interested in rejoining, find out why not. Continuing the conversation in a seamless way is where prop fuel is going to be helpful. There are a ton of blueprints in here, so you can feel free to click around and kind of explore those. You can even hover over this exclamation point. It'll tell you a little bit more about it. And we are building out these blueprints. These are still, what were you, like 8 months into these? So I would expect there are going to be a lot more of these in the future. Definitely doing note out to the board, finding out their needs or their interests, getting people to vote, getting people to say whether they'd be interested in sponsorship, whether they'd like to submit an abstract, if they'd like to volunteer, anything where you, in a perfect world, would have a conversation with someone. That's where prop fuel is going to fit in.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. And, when you sign on to Prop Fuel, you get a dedicated client success manager. So it's me or Ashley or Megan or Kathleen, and we'll meet with you and talk through strategy, build these campaigns together until everyone gets to the point where they're like, I'm good now. Thanks, Melissa. I'll let you know if I need anything. But until that point, we're here.
Good. Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah. Anna?
So I guess the ultimate, what's the cost? What's the, because I know my team will ask that, what's the of getting into this program?
Yeah. That's exactly where Lisa and Mike and Ryan on our team are going to pick up following the workshop. So they'll reach out, they'll check with you on how your campaign did. We'll talk through like how many members you plan on using it, give you a quote. So you'll connect with them. Lisa will reach out to you for sure. And then you can connect with either Mike or Ryan. We'll lead you through the whole process.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, guys? Any questions about the campaign? As you guys noted, it's pretty straightforward. Once you build the campaign, the button clicking is pretty easy. And then we're also here for the strategy side of, okay, like how are we going to get the most out of this? Or based on how well this did, what should we try next?
I think this was a great session. It was
Hey.
good.
Agreed. Thank you.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Well, I'm happy to stay on. I know Bill and Terry, we've got some stuff we want to talk through. Anna, is there any
I
questions
don't think
you have?
so right now. Thank you.
We're at the top of the hour. It's okay. Thank you so much. It was so great meeting you, Anna.
Yep.
Bye.
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 It's like such a small little group. It feels so sad. Terry, we wanted to talk about the email template, or do you feel good just going back through and making edits?
So I think I want to go back through and play with it a little bit and make some edits.
Okay.
You said that there'll be a follow-up, because I know when we have our team meeting, it's going to be questions as to the cost, just like Anna just
Oh,
said.
sure.
And,
Yeah.
things of that nature. So I did have questions about that. But if it's going to be a follow-up, then I'm good. I'll just walk through this. And I I wanted to just make sure I touched on everything because I know that from looking at what I've looked at and doing what we did today, there are actually a few projects that we can throw into this and make it easier on our team. Like the stats for one, and the touch base of everything. But I wanted to just make sure, I have everything intact. So I think I'm just gonna go through a little bit, play with it a little bit, if that's okay, and speak with some of my teammates about it. So I think I'm
Absolutely.
good there. If I have any questions, can I give you
Of
send you
course,
an
yeah, you can
email or-
either email me at melissa@propfuel.com, or Lisa's probably going to be the one talking to
Okay.
you guys next. So that's just lisa@propfuel.com.
Okay.
You can always
Okay.
reach out to Robson if you wanted to. He'll probably direct you to one of us or answer your question.
Okay.
We're a small but mighty team, so we're always happy to help.
Okay.
And one other thing I like to mention too is some clients find they're like, oh, this is so cool. We have a million use cases, but I have no idea how we're getting this done. There is an option to add managed services where your client success manager would build everything for you. So you'd be like, I want to do an acquisition campaign. We'd ask you a few questions, and then we would build it on your behalf and just email you and go like, okay, the whole thing's built for you. Click here.
Awesome.
So that's definitely an option. The blueprints are there so that you get, as you've seen, like 80-90% of the way there, and you can just fine tune edit. But especially if you feel like you're going to be doing a lot of custom things beyond the blueprints, or you want to build multiple onboarding campaigns, something that's going to be a big lift for your team. Sometimes some associations find that it's more resource efficient to outsource it to us and have us do it for you. So it's an option.
And with the blueprints, it is something that we can drop in the emails and the notifications and things like that, because most of our things we have to actually send to marketing, send to marketing. So it would be something that we can just drop in and just
You
add it
build a
and have it.
blueprint, send a test email to anybody. When you become a Prop Fuel client, you can have as many admins as you want in there.
Okay.
So you
Gotcha.
can tag things with different people. So different departments could be working on different projects in Prop Fuel. There's no limit to how many check-ins you can send or how many emails you can send or how many campaigns are drafted at one time. There's no limits there.
Sounds good. Okay.
What is your AMS, by the way? Because I know since we were talking about connectors.
What is on the list that you showed us? It's
Yeah.
NetForm. It's NetForm.
Oh, well, NetForm's really easy. We have a lot of NetForm clients.
Yeah.
Super easy out of the box connector. Same with GrowZone.
Good. Okay. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Melissa, I think that's going to be it for me. That was, like I said, I'm going to play around with it a little bit to see, and if I have any questions. I saw the email from Robson for Lisa, so thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
thanks, Robson.
And mine's there as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. All
Well,
right.
Thanks, Terry. Good to meet you.
Good to meet everybody.
Good to meet
It
you.
was a great session, Melissa.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bill, we can pull that other blueprint if you want. If you want to just share your screen, I can show you what to do.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Let me get
Where
that
am I?
up onto the big screen here.
I'm gonna keep this in the recording. This is good stuff. Can't turn off the recording.
Okay.
All right. So if you go back to the campaign page and create a new campaign, if you want to go to, you can pull more than one. We can just kind of pull one and see what it does in terms of the questions. So the lapsed win back, you'll notice there's actually a couple sections of these. Dormant member win back, the way that we have that phrase, and there's actually a separate like strategy guide for that. That's way past members. So that's like 5 years lapsed. The lapsed member win back's a good catch-all, including more recent ones.
Okay. I was gonna say dormant is definitely a part of the sample set that I had pulled, because I went back to 2020. I mean, we don't have a huge membership base, and there's only about 125 dues paying members. So, we lose just a small handful per year. So to get up to a substantial number, I did go back several years. So some of those would be dormant.
The differentiation on the back end of like what those blueprints look like, the dormant assumes they don't necessarily remember that they lapsed. So we're not going to start with a question like, hey, do you know your membership lapsed? Whereas that one makes sense in a lapsed member win back because they've lapsed within the last year or so. Dormant is really great for like we need to reestablish this relationship a little bit. So you might end up finding a question in there. Actually, I can go do a sneaky peek and figure out which one might be the best use case because I know you want something that's more along the lines of like, hey, which one? So give me 1 second. Let me go
Sure.
do some sneaking around, figure out which one's best so that you're not like guessing, like shoot in the dark. Let's see.
Yeah, dormant, truth be told, is probably the right one to go with because even 6 months after a company has dropped off, I mean, we only have in the last 6 to 12 months, I think there's like 8 companies that have dropped off, and most of them have given me very specific reasons why they didn't renew. So I don't anticipate bringing them back so soon.
Yeah.
But the folks that are just outside that window, that's who I really want to target and go after.
I wonder if even I'm looking through the dormant one on the back end right now. I wonder if maybe even an acquisition campaign, because the purpose of an acquisition campaign, what we're doing is to get to know them and their needs. And in your case, if you're not totally sure how you could help them, that might be a good place to start. Oh, no, I like this one. So the dormant member win back's got one that says, which of the following would be most helpful to you this year? And then gives some suggestions. So I might do that. The difference between the two, so scheduled means you're going to pick send dates for this.
Okay.
The sequence would be like an ongoing drip that in theory we would automate from Growth Zone in a future state when you guys are signed on to PropFuel.
Okay.
So I would say for now, probably scheduled is fine.
Yeah, I mean, knowing that the campaign is automatically set to 6 weeks and the trial would be 30 days, I mean,
Yeah.
I know, but at the same time. Okay. Just for quick naming, we'll go with member coming back. Email from name.
Where are you guys based out of?
We are technically a very small team of 5 remote employees. We have a office in Washington, D.C., but yeah, it's not an actual physical location. It's more just like a office on paper.
Love it. I don't miss the DC commute. I'll tell you that.
I hear you on that part. We just changed our website around. What was that?
I'm hearing that a lot from different associations. Like, this is the time of I'm going to reboot my website.
Ours was so old, didn't we? I mean, and it still is. We're redesigning elements of the pages and site, while not changing everything fundamentally because it's built out of Growth Zone on kind of a WordPress version, if you will.
Oh, don't click run. That'll
sorry,
go to the line above. And then there was like one more in there. So that's industry type. It's just going to put that in an email prompt for you.
Is that close enough? Or
Sure. You can always edit it later.
cool.
It just sticks it in one spot. Click run. So each one of these blueprints is a different number of steps. The more steps, it takes a couple extra minutes, but as you saw, it doesn't take too long.
No,
It usually
not at
takes
all.
a little while to get going on the first couple. Cuts through.
It's a whole lot of data to generate, so
Yes.
you
And
know,
the
but
generate text ones take longer.
yeah, all things considered, even if it took an hour, it's still a heck of a lot faster than the way things used to be.
It's not that long ago, clients were building their own PropFuel campaigns start to finish and start with a blank slate and build everything. It's been a game changer, and now having blueprints and we can just kind of pre-program them for you.
Absolutely. And having the hands-on tutorial style walkthroughs like what we've done today are exceptionally helpful so that, many of us can get into a platform, tinker around, figure our way out, around things to make something work. But to actually be guided and led through that first time is, it just takes away the scary factor of, diving right in.
Yeah. And, sign on to PropFuel. It's not just the first campaign, you have to kick me out, basically. Be like, Melissa, like, I don't need any help. I know how to do this now. And I go, okay, but I'm here and I'm just gonna poke into your account. They're like, good job, Bill. I saw you sent that thing last week. Like, it looks really great. So we're just super hands-on here. This is not a support at, and good luck getting
I
a
like to
response.
hear that.
So there's 3 check-ins. The first one is very similar to what you did today, which is, are you interested in rejoining? You could always trash can that and it would delete it. That one is, you know, I like doing it. Is there something holding you back? But you might end up wanting that third one, which is, which of the following will be most helpful to you this year?
Mhm.
And you could just change those response options, edit the landing pages that are associated. So that would be a good place to start. You can always tinker around.
I love that. Then it's, yeah, it's intelligence gathering without having to do the legwork manually yourself, which is so helpful. I mean, if I can do that with, you know, I guess in this instance, thinking about dormant member win back, if I can get a handful of answers from people, it might indicate to me some underlying themes that are really important to the community we support. Alternatively, I'm thinking about it from a sponsorship perspective because that's my other big bucket. And
Yeah.
if I could send a message like that to, you know, 100 marketing contacts of like, what's the most important thing that I could do for you this year?
Yes.
Boom. Now I've got something I can work on tangibly.
Yeah. There's I know I showed you like the roundtable recordings, not to give you like all this homework of prop fuel things to look at.
Mhm.
There's a roundtable recording on events that also includes like a section on getting exhibitors, getting sponsors, just because that tends to fit in that bucket. And then
Mhm.
something we also do with our clients is if you were like, hey, Melissa, I'm really looking for examples of sponsorship, for example, I can send you a loom that goes like, hey, here are 2 or 3 really good examples I think you should look at for sponsorship. Actually, I already have one. Let me find that. I'm gonna just send you that one. Hold on. Like
Okay.
somewhere in the bowels of my loom, I have a really good, like, here's my favorite sponsorship prop fuel ones.
Here we go. Events and conference engagement and registration.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That'd be super helpful. I mean, we have, you know, the reason that I can't dive fully into the trial itself is because we have a conference coming up and
Yeah.
oh,
Here, I'm
goodness.
sending you this in the chat. Hold on.
Okay. Thank you.
This is I don't know when this is from, 9 months ago. So this is from a little bit ago, before blueprints even. There we go. That's my face. It's just a compilation of a few campaigns that I thought were helpful. I had a couple clients asking about it at once, and I was like, let me just make a video I can share with other people. So it shows you the front end and the back end of some good examples.
Very
Might
cool.
help.
Thank you. I definitely will. All right. Now for the hard part, the doing of the work.
You've done most of the work. Well, yeah,
true.
okay. We're gonna do it all again. You're gonna just edit that landing page. You can wave the magic wand and get a whole new set of copy. It shouldn't take you that long. And then by the time you sign on to Prop Fuel, you're gonna be like, I know all of this already.
It's very true. And I have a new colleague in marketing who has a lot of copy that could be repurposed for these different campaigns. Yeah, she and I will probably have to work together. I've got a meeting with her already on Friday to talk about many different things, and, you know, marketing to lists and things is a part of that conversation. So for sure, this will be brought in.
Yeah, show her Prop
Yeah,
Fuel. Really
I
like
know,
it.
right?
Yeah.
I will. I shared the link to the email engagement webinar from last week and a couple of links, one of which was the use cases for ROI that's on the website,
Yep.
which to me, that's the best like tool to explain what can I do with this and why does it matter. But I guess personally, I've been using, you know, been a user, I guess, not of Prop Fuel as, you know, a service for my association, but more the ASAE engagement that's been sent out that Dave quoted on the early side of our conversation today. I've seen those messages come in, and I love the way that it's structured, right? You click on something and you immediately get something in return, right? And it's so hard to do that in this day and age without giving somebody just a link like, here, do this extra thing. No, I want to have it land in their inbox, so it's just done. And that's what
Yep.
Prophet does. So I've been
Profile
sold for a
update
while though.
campaigns. Like, hey, is this information correct? No, it's not. Here's the right thing. We've got a blueprint in there, and feel free to pull it for renewals for organizations of, hey, are you still the right primary contact? Still the right information for
Mhm.
your company this year? That tends to be really, really helpful.
That at 90 days out from renewal would be a wonderful thing to send. Like, hey, and I could even have automated portions set up to where it's just like, okay, all June renewals, at the midway point of the year in January, send a message to say, hey, how's it going?
Yep.
Good, bad, you need to call me. Like,
Yes. Yep. We have that built in two places, actually. There's an onboarding blueprint that's meant to go through, which you could reuse for like renewals, that it'll take you all the way up to that 9-month mark. So through the rest of the year to keep engaging them in conversations. And then the renewal campaign kind of picks up from there. That's like
Mhm.
60 or 90 days out of like, hey, what are are you planning to renew? How's it going? Like, so that it's not just, hey, it's time to go renew. Click here.
Exactly. And it's if you only reach out at that one time, it's too late.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I know. I have a call scheduled with Mike for later this week,
Oh, good.
ironically, and I imagine I could probably ask him, but are you aware of any resources that show like, cost versus ROI in terms of, here's what your annual prop fuel subscription would cost versus the potential ROI that the average trade association has pulled back in?
Yeah, so the benchmarking reporting was meant to give like an overview of performance. It's so dependent on the association of how, and that's why we like doing these lapsed member win back things, because generally someone can send out this like single lapsed member check-in and pay for all of prop fuel or pay for a good chunk of prop fuel. So they're like, cool, great. Like before I even signed on, I paid for the first year, like cool, done.
We'll see.
I'm a big fan of like anytime a new client starting, like let's make up whatever the difference is of paying for your subscription for prop fuel. So we'll usually start with like a lapsed member win back or a renewal campaign to get retention up if
Mhm.
that's a key focus. If your key focus is data, doing a profile update campaign. If your focus is getting conference registration or sponsors, starting there so that way you can get that quick win out the door. It's not uncommon, and you can talk to Mike about doing like a 30-day or a 3-month out of like, if this isn't right for you and you're 3 months in and you're getting zero traction, being able to say like, oh, well, maybe we won't go further than this. It's very, 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 very uncommon that anyone will leave
I
prop
bet.
fuel. Our client retention rates like in the high 90%. Like everyone loves it. If anything, some people decide like I want to add on managed services, or I'm just going to move all these processes into prop fuel. But there's a lot of use case for it, and
Yep.
members really enjoy it. And now we've got so many new features in the platform for reporting, tracking conversion lists so that you can see the dollar amount go up as you get those campaigns out the door. So it's really easy to
So
see that ROI quickly.
another major use case for us, which is not necessarily revenue generating, but would be super helpful, is with surveys. Do you have an integration with SurveyMonkey or any of the big survey platforms to where you can lead someone directly in?
You could just redirect to
to,
URL.
I guess we could do that too.
You
Okay.
just have an action of redirect to URL. There are some great example survey campaigns. I don't know if we have a blueprint for that, but I have a couple like go-to campaigns that I always show people of just asking their intent of like, are you willing to take this survey? Because then you can find out who says
Yes.
no. If they say no, find out why not. Is it they don't have time? Or if they say no, you go, I get it, you're busy. I'm going to ask you one question right here, right now. Get them to answer it, and then you're done. Find out who just needs reminders and nudges, but plans to do it so that you can at least mentally count on them giving you responses. And then find out who actually is going to go fill it out, which is super helpful if the survey has to be anonymous for whatever reason. Just saying, did you answer it?
Yep.
Yes, great, good, awesome.
Thanks. I'll leave you alone from now on.
Exactly. And that's what we do with like renewal campaigns and lapse campaigns too. Like, if you're not planning to, please just tell us. We will leave you alone.
Right?
Just let us know. Give you the gift of a cleaner inbox.
You were thinking exactly like I was, which was, the very limited selection of options for a survey of like, yes, take me there now, I have time.
Yes.
2, no, yes, I want to complete it, but remind me later.
Yeah.
Or something else like not of interest, don't contact me again. And then, hey, we're sending them one less future email that they didn't
Yes.
want to get in the first place.
Yep, it's really helpful. And then you can have open-ended comments if they say, like, no, I'm not taking it. Find out why not. Give them a section to type. I've had someone do that, and they wrote like a whole paragraph of like, I keep giving you guys this feedback about this thing, and you're never listening,
Never
and blah,
do
blah, blah. And then they got a response back. They actually like
Yeah.
reply in Propfuel and gave a one-on-one response back and shocked the member. They're like, wait a minute. Like,
You're like,
actually,
oh man,
read this.
Sally, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry we keep sending you this same question. You keep answering and nobody does anything about it. Doggone it, I'm gonna do it now.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're gonna find a lot of fun in Propfuel.
I think so too. All right, fingers crossed I can motivate the rest of my team.
Yeah. Let us know what we can do to help.
Cool, I will. Thank you. Thank you very much, Melissa. Thank you for your help leading up to today, Robson. And for today. Yeah, I think I'm good for now. And yes, hope you both have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye.